My name is Bailey Parker, and I am the Communications Director here at the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. And today we're going to be talking about charity scams. This is a very applicable topic right now as we are in hurricane season, and there are unfortunately a lot of natural disasters that have been happening around the country, around the world. And there are charities that are popping up left and right, asking for donations. And people have been calling us and asking us, well, how can you tell the difference between a good charity to donate to and a bad charity to donate to? So hopefully we can provide you with some guidance on what red flags to watch out for, and also how to do your research, what you should be looking for when it comes to donating to a charity. So this is our roadmap for the day. So we're going to go over some common charity schemes. We'll go over the red flags. There are some specific red flags to charity scams. And then there's just some general ones for all types of scams, but that still apply to charity scams. Then how can you protect your information, and how can you do your research into finding a good charity to donate to? And then what do you do if you become the victim of a charity scam? So what are some common charity scams that we see? Disaster charity fundraising is the number one and probably the most applicable right now. So this applies to any type of disaster, whether it's hurricane, tornado, flooding, fires. So any type of disaster, people want to help, and they unfortunately can be taken advantage of by scammers. We always hear, why don't these people do something better with their time? And I agree. But unfortunately, scammers follow the headlines for any type of scam, and disasters are definitely one of those headlines that scammers take advantage of because they want to pull at your heartstrings. They know that you are more willing to donate if there are people that are in need, and they unfortunately want to take advantage of that. Holiday charity fundraising. So you may be more willing to give around the holidays, and we're coming up on that. In fact, we almost always send out a charity press release, a charity donation press release in November every single year. Because there's a whole week in November dedicated to charity scams. So we put out some information every single year. Holiday giving is irregular, and scammers take advantage of that as well. I get questions about the phone calls and the solicitations that you receive from the local firefighter department, the police department, maybe even from local military, that they're doing a local fundraiser for whatever reason. And you ask, are they legitimate? Now, I can't identify if the specific phone call that you got from the alleged local firefighter was legitimate. But when we go over the red flags, it will probably point you in the right direction and will give you an idea of, okay, was that phone call legitimate? Some of the red flags that Bailey talked about popped up in that phone call that I had with the person that claimed to be from the local fire department. So probably wasn't actually them. And then the last one is local tragedy fundraising. There are others, but these are the most common. And when I say local tragedy, I mean there was somebody that died in a car accident, or there was a local business that was broken into, or there was a fire at a local business, or just something happened locally in your town, and the town wants to come together to help a family, a business, whoever. And so they want to fundraise for that situation. Scammers take advantage of that as well. So let's get into these specific red flags. What are the red flags when it comes to charity scams? So scammers are going to ask you to pay in very specific ways. they're not going to usually at least ask for credit card payments. Reason being, credit card payments are very easy to trace and track. So you need to be careful with how they're asking you to pay. So if somebody wants donations specifically in cash, gift card, wiring money, cryptocurrency, do not do any of these types of payment. I would call these types of payment unusual. Now, cash isn't necessarily unusual, but the reason that this is suspicious is the moment you give that cash away, you're not getting it back, right? The moment you put that into somebody else's hand, you're not getting it back. But the gift card and the wiring money and the cryptocurrency and the app-to-app transfer, like Cash App or Venmo, you're not getting that money back. You're not seeing it again. These are very difficult to trace, especially the wires and the cryptocurrencies. The gift cards, once that money has been emptied out of that gift card, you're not getting it back. It's basically like cash. So you want to be very careful with, if somebody's asking you to pay in these specific forms of payment, that's a huge red flag of a scammer. And honestly, this goes for any form of scam. So this isn't just specific to charity scams, but it's very common in charity scams. Credit cards are the safest way to pay. Reason being is there is more insurance behind credit cards. You are going to be more likely to get your money back if you are to report it as a fraudulent payment. Because to be quite frank, the credit card money is not your money. They're just lending you that money, right? So if you are to report it quick enough, you're most likely going to get that money back. Always record all of the donations that you give out and review your statements carefully. The one danger of paying by credit card, but again, there's still a safety here, a safety net with credit cards. The danger with credit cards is once you give that credit card number over to a scammer, they are potentially going to take that credit card number and start spending themselves. That's why you need to be reviewing your statements carefully, because they could just take that information and start spending with your information. So you always need to be looking at your statements, always need to make sure that there's no additional charges that you didn't recognize. But that's when you dispute it. That's when you call your credit card company and say, hey, this isn't me. And because of that extra insurance, because that money isn't actually yours, you reported it quickly enough, the credit card company is most likely going to give you that money back. This is very specific to charity scams. They're going to try and copy well-known charity names. So a very common one is the Red Cross. And you can probably name, if you can think of a charity name off the top of your head, scammers probably tried to duplicate that or at least make a charity name that sounds very similar to it. Some of the things that they try and do is they will switch letters, they'll transpose some letters, or they'll take one of the words in the charity name and make a word sound almost exactly like it. So be very suspicious of charities that, like, wow, it sounds kind of like that one charity. Just Google it. Just make sure you put it in Google. So what they also will do is these fake charity promoters or scammers, what they'll do is they'll spoof. What spoofing is, it's a very funny word. It's an actual legal term though, where they will illegally cover their actual email or their actual phone number. And they'll use the legitimate charity phone number to call you. So say it is the Red Cross that they're trying to call as. And they're trying to say they need donations for whatever reason. And they will spoof their phone number. They'll cover their real phone number with the Red Cross's phone number. They can do that with technology. They can do that with computers, phones, and it will make your caller ID read as the Red Cross. So you can't trust caller ID these days at all, unfortunately. They can make their emails look very similar to any other email, so you can spoof an email as well. So just know that they're going to try and make you trust them more by acting like a well-known charity. They're going to use email to request donations so they don't have to talk to you on the phone. Reason being, they know you're more likely to click on these links. And clicking on the links or opening attachments is most likely going to result in malware being installed on your devices or just attempting to steal your personal information. So stealing the personal information could include your, driver's license information, your credit card information, debit card information, your birth date, your name, whatever it may be that they're requesting for this donation. They could act like, oh, we need your tax information so you can write it off for tax purposes. So they may act like they need your social security number. No. No charity needs your social security number. So just know that if anybody is asking for this type of information, they're not real. They're a scammer. Nobody should be requesting this type of information. But emails are so easy to send out in bulk. That's why scammers love to do this. It's an easy way to try and request information or install some type of malware onto your computer that will either monitor your device or steal information from your device. Please do not give any type of personal information. I hear from people all the time, oh, well, all I gave was my date of birth and my maiden name. That's plenty of personal information for them to go and try and guess your security questions. So any personal information is too much personal information, but you definitely don't want to give the very private stuff like the social security number and tax information and financials. Check the website address if they're putting websites in there. Most legitimate charity organizations are going to use .orgs, not .coms. This isn't, tried and true all the time, but it's usually the case that they're going to be using .orgs, which stands for organization. Crowdfunding sites are not trustworthy in any way, shape, or form, and social media fundraisers are not either. So it is not possible the majority of the time to verify if a crowdfunding campaign is real. And when I say crowdfunding, I mean things like, I don't want to name any specific websites, but you might be able to think of them off the top of your head. Crowdfunding sites where you can go and set up a fund where you can go to it and donate for any sort of specific cause. And this is very popular nowadays. Anyone can set up a fund like this. And so it's often not possible to verify where the money is going. It's always safest to donate to a registered and vetted charity. Same goes for these social media fundraisers. I know Facebook has fundraisers that you can do now. I do know that legitimate charities will do fundraising through social media platforms, and they will give verification through there. But it is also possible for any random person to start a fundraiser through social media. So you always want to be doing your research before you start donating through social media. Donations are not tax deductible is a huge red flag. If a group cannot give you proof, this is usually by receipt or a letter in the mail that they'll send you after your donation, that the donation is tax deductible, it's most likely a scam. So if they can't give you some sort of proof that their donation is going to be tax deductible, I wouldn't do it. Remember, especially with these crowdfunding sites I just talked about, you're usually not going to be, these are not going to be tax deductible, because the majority of the time with these crowdfunding sites, the recipient is not a registered charity. You're donating to some random person who's put up a crowdfunding organization for whatever reason. It's not a 501c3 or a registered charity, a nonprofit. So you're not going to be able to do this as a tax deduction the next year. And there are just the general red flags that you need to watch out for. So these are red flags of any scam, not just charity scams, but these apply to charity scams as well. So we've already talked about this. They're pretending to be someone you know or recognize. So they're going to pretend to be that local fire department, the police department, the sheriff's office, whoever, a local organization. It could be a local charity. It could be a local group that raises money for women's, abuse, whatever it may be. So they're going to pretend to be somebody you know or recognize. Second thing is, there's a problem or a prize. They're going to try and pull at your heartstrings. They could also claim if you donate money, you'll win something. You'll be put into a raffle. So they're going to try and incentivize you to actually donate for whatever reason. These are big red flags of these scams. Third, they're going to pressure you. They're going to say, if you don't donate right now, something really bad's going to happen. Or if you don't donate right now, we're not going to double your money. We're not going to be able to do this. Again, they're going to try and pull at your heartstrings. They're going to try and make you feel bad for not doing it for whatever reason. And that's really what comes at the end of these charity scams. These scammers are trying to play on your emotions. That's the end goal here for them. They know that you want to help. They know that out of the goodness of your heart, you want to donate money, you want to help for the people that have been hurt by a disaster, fires, hurricane, tornado, whatever, the person in your community that their house burned down. So they want to take advantage of your emotions, and so they're going to pressure you into doing that. And again, a reminder, they're going to tell you to pay in that specific way. This applies to all scams, but of course to charity scams as well. No person should be telling you to pay in cryptocurrency, guys. No one should be telling you to pay for anything in gift cards. No one should be telling you to pay by wire transfer. When people say, oh yeah, they told me to wire $500, wire transfers are reserved for huge payments. We're talking like mortgages. We're talking you're buying like a huge thing. We're not just wiring $100 back and forth, $500, whatever it may be. Wire transfers are not common. So if all of a sudden says, hey, you need to wire me the donation for this charity, no, that's not going to happen. And no one should tell you to go to a cryptocurrency ATM and buy some cryptocurrency. That's most definitely not real. So please keep an open mind about scammers and identity thieves, because at the end of the day, it may not just be trying to get your money. Your information is money to them too. They can sell your information. So you may think, oh, well, I didn't give them any money, so I didn't fall for that scam. But if you gave them any type of information, they can also use that to steal your identity, which is money. And this isn't just over the phone, text message, emails, social media. They can show up straight at your door. So keep an open mind about these people. They have no shame, right? They're criminals. They'll do anything. This is to get your money and your information. It was after, was it Hurricane Michael? I can't remember, the last big hurricane that came through here. There was a report of some people outside of a Lowe's on Gardiner's Ferry who were raising money for hurricane relief. And they made a lot of money. They were standing outside that Lowe's. And guess what? They were not a registered charity and they were criminals. And luckily, they did get arrested because they were doing it in person. But these people have no shame. So just keep an open mind when it comes to these situations. So what are the tools? How can you find out if a charity is legitimate? What should you be doing, and how can you protect yourself? Well, number one, you need to be doing your research. How can you do this? So specifically here in South Carolina, every charity in South Carolina needs to be registered with the South Carolina Secretary of State's website if they're a nonprofit. So you can go there, and if you download the slides, it's linked here. And I'll actually open this up so you can see it. So it's going to come to this website, and if you're looking at a specific charity, you can type in the name of the charity here and search it to see if they're registered. You definitely don't want to be donating to a charity that is not registered here in the state of South Carolina, okay? You can also just call this number and you can name out the charity you're looking for to see if they're registered as well. I've included some specific examples of things that have been happening recently when it comes to disasters that we've gotten questions about. So if you're looking to donate to Florida Disaster Recovery, there is an actual Florida Disaster Fund. Florida gets hit with so many hurricanes. They have a state official disaster fund that you can donate to. So it's through the state government, and it is their official fund. So that is where they ask people to actually go through. The website, if you can see I'm hovering over, is volunteerflorida.org, and it's the Florida Disaster Fund. If you're looking to donate to the Hawaii fires, Hawaii specifically asks you to check with the Hawaii Attorney General's Charity Division. This is where people get very confused, because here in South Carolina, it's the Secretary of State's office where we we register all of the nonprofits. But in Hawaii, it's the Attorney General's office. So if you're looking to donate to Hawaii for the fires, you go to the Attorney General's Charity Division, and that's where you can search for charities. That website also has a ton of resources there because they have been getting inundated with tons of requests to find out where to donate. I've also included this webpage from the FTC, and I'll show it to you here because I already had it pulled up. This is the How to Donate Wisely and Avoid Charity Scams. This is a fantastic webpage and a great resource that really goes over, pretty much everything we've talked about today, but it also gives you organizations that can help you research charities. So it gives you 4 different places you can go to look up charities. So enter the charity name, but it also has an A through Z national charity list. Same thing goes for the Charity Navigator, Charity Watch, and Candid. Also has the IRS's tax exempt organization search. And then there is a full list for every single state. Say something happens in Tennessee, say there's a tornado in Tennessee or Oklahoma, and you want to donate somewhere in one of those states. There is a website specifically where you can find each state's charity regulator, which is super helpful, right here. So this is a great link, and I have that in the slides for you, so you don't have to, write this down or anything. You can just download the slides and you can find this link there. Again, when it comes to your identity, please be checking your credit report. If you've been in any of our presentations before, we harp on this all the time, but there's a reason for it. please, please, please be checking your credit report at least once a year. You can do this once a week through the end of this year. That started at the beginning of the pandemic, and they continued it through the end of 2023. So if you wanted to look at your credit report every week through the end of this year, you could for free through annualcreditreport.com. I circled the authorized by federal law because this is the only place that is not going to save your information or sell your information to third-party marketers. A lot of the places that advertise giving you your free credit reports in the terms and conditions that we all don't read, they are selling your information to third-party marketers. They have to make money somehow. They're businesses. So you're going to start getting inundated with tons of pre-approvals, insurance offers, credit card offers, all that stuff. So annualcreditreport.com is the only place we're going to tell you to go. Place a fraud alert. So a fraud alert is basically just an extra layer of protection that you can put on your credit report. It lasts 1 year and then it expires, but you can continue to replace it. It basically just makes creditors take extra steps to verify your identity if anyone is requesting credit. There is an extended fraud victim alert if you've become a victim. This is specifically for only victims of identity theft. This lasts 7 years. The security freeze, I call this the Big Daddy. This means when you place it, no one, including yourself, can open up new accounts in your name. I think this is fantastic. If you're not opening up any new accounts of credit, place this. You can thaw it for periods of time and then it will refreeze, and you can lift it. It's not like it's permanent. You can view your credit report, so it's not like you can't look at it or anything. So you can look at it, creditors from current accounts can look at it, certain government agencies and companies that you pay to monitor your credit file if you do that. And then you can thaw it, I've mentioned that, and lift it. We're not going to go into the details of this because we've gone over this a billion times before, and it's in the slides if you're interested in knowing this information. If you think you've been a victim, if you've fallen for one of these scams before, or you think you've fallen for another type of scam, please call us. We have an identity theft unit where we have 2 people who are actually answering phones. They are answering phone calls, real human beings talking to you. So please contact us. That phone number right down here at the bottom, you can call it and we'll transfer you over to the IDTU, the Identity Theft Unit, and they can talk to you about your situation. Even if you're not sure, you can say, hey, I got this weird phone call. Was it a scam? What do you think? And we'll kind of talk to you and we can say, you know what, we think that's a red flag. That's a red flag. So yeah, it's probably a scam. So please call us. You can also go to our website. It's consumer.sc.gov. We have tons of education there in case you just want to, you don't want to talk to somebody and you just want to go and read through the education, or you just want to report a scam there, because you can report a scam or report identity theft on our website.